Hey, good morning, guys. How are you? Good. I am recording this and I will put it on Canvas later on today. But I want to give everybody a few minutes to log on. I am going to share my screen, so I want to make sure that everybody can see what I'm sharing. So, can everybody see that Zoom screen? Let's see if I. There we go. So, everybody should be able to see the week 3 module. Can everybody see that okay? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Um, if you have questions, you can post those in the chat room. But I think I'm going to go over everything that you might have a question about. And if you do have questions, then you can ask it. And I will post this to the class later today so you can look at it for future reference. And if you forget something or want clarity, it'll be there. So any questions to start off? I'm going to do this. Morning, post questions here. Okay, perfect. So first off, you only have 2 weeks left. It's going to go by like lightning. The first 2 weeks went by really, really fast. So, as I said in my message to all of you, take a deep breath. Know that you are accomplishing something. If you can just get through these next 2 weeks, you'll have 3 more college credits that'll go towards either an elective, or if you're having to take a class because of requirements for your major. But you don't want to give up because you are almost done with this class. These are like the last assignments of the semester. And I am in the middle of grading, so you have probably seen already your grade for your artifact speech. I'll be doing your speech 3 as well as the assignments that were connected to that assignment. And all of that should be graded by the end of this week, if not sooner. If you have questions about any of that, you can always message me. I always tell students, if you watch the grade, if you go to grade in Canvas, that's kind of a deceiving thing because sometimes you might not make full credit on something and then it'll really show a drastic percentage. I recommend not doing that and not fretting over it. You can always write me and say, how am I doing? But because we build points over the course of the semester and some of the end assignments have the majority of points, you'll find that your grade will really jump after assignment. So like, for example, the speech that you're about to start working on is worth 200 points. So that 200 points can turn an A into a C if you don't do well, and it can turn a C into an A if you do really well. And it could also, make your grade even more than an A, even going over the 1,000 points available because I build in extra credit into the semester. So, just keep doing what you're doing, do your best to do well. If you have questions, ask. But don't freak out if the grade doesn't look the way that you want it to just yet. The other thing that I want to say is that if it was me and I was in this class, the only thing I would be focused on is getting ready for the midterm that's going to be posted at 1:45 today. I'm not posting it early because I have to do a review in this class and a review in my 9:45 class. So it'll actually post about 10:45 after that class is over, after I do the review. So you should see it up and live by noon, if not before noon, around 10:45. And you can get started on it, and you should take your time. There's no time limit. There's no rush. It's not due until tomorrow night at midnight. So if you have to work today, or if you've got obligations with children, or you've got other classes that you're focused on, just know that there is a good over 24-hour period, more like 35 hours, that you're going to have available to take the test. And that means that you could, have your notes up and organized on your computer. You can look at the questions and try to figure out the answers. If you feel like you don't really know the answer, even though if you've been reading the PowerPoints and keeping up with the lectures, you should be fine. But if you are struggling, there is all your previous lessons and readings are in these different sections in week 2 and then week 1. Now, what you should know is week 3 already has lessons and readings that are published in it, but those are not on the midterm. So you don't need to worry about reading those yet. I would focus on the midterm first. And then once your midterm's done, then start focusing on these assignments that need to be completed. The only thing that is a little bit more rushed and will be due sooner than later is this famous speech critique. That is due on Tuesday night as well. So if you just kind of wanted to get that out of the way, you know how to do the famous speech critiques by now. It's only 3 paragraphs. And if you click on this link, you'll see that it's just one video. It's an example of a speech where the student is citing sources. So if you're starting to work on speech 4 and trying to figure out how to cite your sources within your speech, it's a good example. It shows you know, how she quotes her sources, the types of sources that she quotes. All of that stuff will be very invaluable as you're putting that speech together. So if we go back to the module, I haven't graded, thank you, Michaela. She asked, have you put the grade in for the interview? I haven't put that in yet. That's an easy one to put in. You don't have to do a submission. It's already graded in my grade book. I just haven't posted it yet because I've been doing the other speeches. But I will make sure that that goes in sometime today or tomorrow. But if you did the interview and you weren't late, then you got full credit. So just know if you showed up and you did it, then you got 50 points. But I will be posting that later today. Good question, Michaela. So if I go to this week 3, I'll see that I could do this assignment today, you know, while I'm waiting for the exam to open, the midterm. I could click on this, finish that famous speech critique if I have the time before 10:45, and then just get that in, and that way that assignment is done. If I haven't done the speech critiques for the other speeches, I need to make sure that I've done that because that gets me points for participation. So if you didn't watch 5 other speeches of speech 3, then I highly recommend that you do that as well before you miss the deadline. So if you click on this right here, it tells you that this is due by midnight. It says that you're supposed to upload your speech 3 self-reflection, includes your feelings before, during, and after your upload. So how'd you feel about doing speech 3? Are you feeling like you're getting it? Do you feel like you're still rushed and trying to understand it? Are you still struggling with nervousness? You know, what are you, is it harder to write it than it is to deliver it? You know, what are you feeling? No right or wrong answer. It's just your self-reflection. I'm trying to get you to process and think about the speech making, you know, process. And then make sure that you comment on 5 other speeches of speech 3. And those 2 things need to be due by midnight. And then once you do that, then you'll get some points for that. So you want to make sure that you finish that. Make sure you finish the famous speech critique, and then your midterm by tomorrow night at midnight. Now, any questions so far before I start moving out of those assignments and move into the big speech that we have coming up? Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to say no. So after you turn in this speech 3 reflection and critiques, your famous speech critique, and you do the midterm, you'll see that you have 3 things that are going to be due this week. They're very easy if you just sit down, take your time, and prepare. And it's going to get you ready for the final week of the class, which is next week. This is all the materials to prepare for that last speech that you have to give that's in class. It's not your last speech. There is one speech before the final, But that speech is really easy. It's going to be less than 2 minutes. So, don't freak out about that speech. So this lesson and this reading is what you want to start focusing on Wednesday and Thursday. So Monday and Tuesday, we have the midterm, we have the famous speech critique, we have the speech 3 of self-reflection and comments. That's what you're focusing on for these 2 days. That's kind of what we'll be talking about today and tomorrow. I will dive more into the speech 4 at tomorrow's meetup. So if you come tomorrow at 7, then you'll notice that I don't talk as much about the logistics of this week. I'm just going to be talking about speech 4 and how you kind of need to be prepared for that. So if you look at the lessons here, what you will notice is that there is a PowerPoint lecture that kind of talks about the difference between an informative and a persuasive speech. The choice is really up to you. So you can choose to inform us about something, enlighten us, educate us. So for example, you want to tell us, what's the process to change the oil in your own car. Let's just say that you want to take us outside. That's something that you enjoy doing, is working on automobiles, and you want to change the oil in the car. You show us the parts that we need. You show us what we have to do. And then maybe you tell us some guidelines and tips for doing it. Those are your 3 main points, your thesis statement. That could be an informative speech. Now, if you tell us that we should change the oil in our own car each 3,000 miles or every 3 months, because you want us to save money and not spend it at Jiffy Lube or wherever we get our oil changed, then that turns it into a persuasive speech. So you want to make sure that you're clear what's your purpose. So if your purpose is to inform, you can't be telling us that we should be doing something or advocating for something or trying to convince us to think a certain way. That would be a persuasive speech. If you are trying to do that, so for example, you want to tell us to give blood, you want to tell us that global warming is an issue and we need to be involved in climate and environmental advocacy. You want to convince us to recycle. You want to tell us that we shouldn't text and drive. All of those would be persuasive speeches. And so I did, if you look at the announcement that I put up, I did put a link that gives you topic ideas that you can click on after you do your midterm and those other assignments. Then start thinking about what could I talk about next week. And then you're going to watch these citing sources links that I have here. These are just different videos and tools that show you how do you actually orally cite a source within your speech. So for example, if I'm talking about blood donation, I might go to the, let me see, it's called the California Blood Bank, .com or .edu or not .edu, .net or whatever it is. I don't know what the website is. But let's just say that I say that I'm going to quote the California Blood Bank website. I would need to say the date that I visited that site or the date I'm citing, or when was that information published on that site. So if there's a date there, then I'd say on the California Blood Bank website about where to donate in the Central Valley, it states this on June 12th, 2021 when I checked the website. So I've got to tell you, like, where did I get this information? What's the date of when I got this information, either when I visited it or when it was published. And then I've got to quote 3 sources within my speech during that 5-minute time. Now, this is going to tell you how to do that. We're going to talk about it this week. We're going to talk about it next week as well. So it would be smart to start trying to write that speech now and figuring out how to cite your sources so you can ask me if you have any questions to get that outline prepared. Because if you're looking for ideas, there is some different readings that you can do here to look at how to cite sources and use your language. You don't have to go through this if you feel overwhelmed and you have other things to work on. But this reading will be beneficial in reference to, kind of what you're learning about in the class. So if I go back to the module, I'll see that I have 3 things that I have to do by the end of this week. So these things are due by the end of this, you know, process of these 4 days. So the first thing is something you've already done. It's just writing an outline or a blueprint for either your informative or persuasive speech. So unlike your last speech where you had to give me the speaker notes at the end, this is like the artifact speech where you kind of write up what's your game plan for how you're going to talk about this topic. And I give you a sample for an informative speech, and I give you a sample for a persuasive speech. You can do a keyword outline. You can do a word for word as long as it's labeled. All the contents are labeled on intro, body, conclusion, like this person has, has done. Oh, I didn't wake up enough, or you can look at it and do it in your own, like, combo. So some keyword and some word for word. But this outline is due by the 17th at midnight. And so what you want to make sure is that you're putting this together. And this is as much for you as it is for me, because this is the content that you'll be looking at when you go to give your speech next week. So all you're doing is writing out your presentation and organizing the details. And this is due by the 17th. The second thing that's due is you have to think about the 3 quotes that you're going to use. So you're going to have to do some research. You can go to the COS library through our COS website. If you just go here, you'll see that it's in your portal, just like it is in mine. If you just go to My Giant, and the link is, let me see if I'm not blind, cos.edu login. Is that it? Let me see if that's it. Nope. Hold on one second. Let's go back. There's a COS website on here. I know it's here. Oh, right here. cos.edu, you just click on library and you're going to find all kinds of different resources. You can even write to the librarian and they'll give you sources and ideas based on the topic that you're choosing. You can also do searches online and try to figure out what you could be citing. Make sure that you're looking for things that are credible. You'll see that talked about in the lesson about citing sources. You're not just asking a friend, what do you think about donating blood? You need to be getting credible sources that you're citing. Periodicals, newspapers, magazines, websites, interviewing the people at the California Blood Bank or a local blood donation center, stuff like that. Now, once you put these quotes together, and all you're doing is you're turning in these quotes and you're showing me how you might cite them. So, for example, that quote that I did about places that you could donate blood in the Central Valley, and I kind of cited the source, that would be an example of what you might use in reference to the COS, or in reference to the California Blood Bank website. If I, read an article in Time Magazine or in Fresno Bee about why, blood donations are really important right now connected to the pandemic, that might be a source that I use. But I have to show you how I'm going to quote 3 different things within my speech. And then whatever I'm choosing that I'm quoting, and again, you can send this to me ahead of time and I'll look at it and give you feedback. But whatever I'm quoting, I also have to create a bibliography or a works cited. And so on this page, all I'm doing is I'm giving the sources for the quotes that I'm planning on using. So I'm essentially this week setting up the framework of how I'll give my speech next week. And then next week, all I have to do is practice it and deliver the speech. So I'm going to stop there because that is everything that's due. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask questions based on everything I've talked about so far. If there's any questions. So let me see. So this is where I was telling you there's some topic ideas. If you click on here, it says 5-minute presentation topic ideas. So if you're looking for ideas, you're struggling to come up with a topic, this is something that you could look at after you get your midterm in and your famous speech critique, then you could focus on that. Okay.
And the outline is due tomorrow by midnight as well?
No, that's not due till the 17th. So you have till the end of this week for the outline, the works cited, and the quotes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And I may extend that deadline. I will look at that after this is over. Let me see. 14 days. I may extend that deadline to like Saturday night at midnight, just to give you, a little more time. Excuse me, a little more time. Obviously, I didn't have my coffee this morning. But the reason that I'm trying to rush you to kind of get it finished is because you'll notice that speeches start next week. And so I don't want you to wait till Sunday night to get it done, and then you have no time to practice with the speech that you've created, because those live speeches are next week. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for, is to make sure that we are kind of getting it out of the way and done. Okay, any more questions? All right, well, if you have no more questions, then this speech is 5 minutes. Will we know what day we go before speech day? Good question, Genesis. So what I am going to do is I am going to have everyone scheduled for the first day. If people write me and say, oh, I can't go on the first day, I need to go on the second day, then I will move those people to the second day. My goal is to get us all done on one day, and that way we're just done. But if we can't get that accomplished, then we'll have a few speeches on that Tuesday. The reason that I don't want to split it, half and half, is because what happens is some people can't do one day and some people can't do the other day. And then we're not finished with the speeches because people can't do that Tuesday, and I scheduled them for Tuesday, and then it's the end of the semester and they don't have time to give their speeches. So I would prefer to get through all of them on that Monday, but we'll see if we're able to actually get that accomplished. I'll know that a little bit more, and you'll get your day and time by the end of this week, by Thursday. So you know exactly what time you're giving your speech. But the 2 days it's scheduled for is the 21st and the 22nd, which is and Monday and Tuesday of next week.
The bibliography assignment, is that separate from the citing?
That's
two separate assignment, the bibliography?
Is that separate from the what?
From the citing, or is it together?
Yes. So the bibliography, or the works cited, is a separate turn-in assignment from the quotes. So you put the quotes in one assignment tab, and then you put your bibliography or works cited in the other. And the works cited is just showing me, where these sources are coming from. So it's kind of like at the end of your research paper, you'd put the works cited or the bibliography. And bibliography is only if you're using books, but the works cited is books, magazines, periodicals, etc. And what you're showing us is where you got that material. The quotes is how you're thinking you're going to say it within your speech. So how are you going to frame it in your speech? So for example, according to Time Magazine on May 25th, 2021, it stated blah, 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 blah. So I want to make sure that you know how to quote that and frame it with the source along with what you want to say. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So for speech 3, the only three things that you need to turn in is you have to turn in your outline blueprint for speech 4. You have to turn in your quotes for speech 4, and you have to turn in your works cited for speech 4. And the works cited can be APA, MLA. You can do.
It's not a specific.
No, there's no specific. You can even use easybib.com, where you put in the information and it prints up a works cited for you. And you could just copy and paste it and put it into the assignment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any other questions? So
Hey,
again,
Ms. McGahey, I do have a question.
Yes.
Do we have to provide you, I missed like the first 15 minutes. Do I have to provide you with the topic or do we just do the topic?
no, I'll see your topic when you turn in your blueprint.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, perfect.
Yep. And so between now and tomorrow night at midnight, I would be focused on your speech 3, 5 comments on other speeches, and your self-reflection. I would be focused on the famous speech critique. I'd try to get that done before my midterm was posted. If you can do that before 10:45 today. If not, then those 2 things and your midterm are due between tonight and tomorrow night. So you just want to make sure that you're finishing those 3 things before you start focusing on and working on speech 4. And that's only so you don't get confused in your mind what you're doing and not doing. That's how I would divide this week up. The first beginning of the week, you're still finishing part of the speech 3 assignment. You're doing the midterm and the famous speech critique. And then the rest of the week, you're only working on speech 4, and that's it. And then next week, we'll be delivering speech 4. It'll be doing another famous speech critique, and then you'll have your final 2-minute speech that you'll have to submit. Really, it's just a really quick, fun speech. And then you'll be in at the end of the semester. I'll have to do this again.
Yay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if there's no more questions, you're free to go. I will stay on here in case some people have questions. I will post this to the class. So if you want to watch it again and you want clarity on something and you want to listen to what I said again, but you also can reach out to me through Canvas inbox, or you can text me at any time.
I do have a question after.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, you're free to go unless you have a question. Bernice, what's your question?
On my assignment that was due, I know I messaged you. I turned it in late.
Uh-huh.
So
Is it not graded yet?
No,
Okay,
it was the
yes.
speech 3, but I had like an issue like downloading because of the Zoom. I know I mentioned that to you.
Yes.
So-
I
So
won't hold that against you. I
okay.
do, and I do have that you were having issues with the upload.
Okay, and I did post it, but then the only way that it allowed me to post it is like as a reply.
Oh,
So,
got it.
but
Okay.
it is posted, but it's posted as a reply.
Okay, perfect. So
But
I
it's
will,
there.
yeah, I will make sure I look for it after today.
Oh, okay, another thing, I don't know if my other classmates are allowed to reply to my reply. I don't know if that,
Okay, got it. They'll have to see, I'll have to see.
yeah, so,
Yeah, because they may not be able to, well, they might be able to reply to your reply, but they'd have to go look for it. So if they
yeah.
don't find it, then don't worry about it. It's not gonna hurt
Okay.
you, but I'll make sure I find it.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
You have a good day, Robin. Thank you.
You too.